Hello, I'm Justin. This is Kellan, and welcome back to the Fizz. We've been off for a couple weeks. We've been on the road doing workshops with clients, and it's been fun. But we are back today to do the good deed of bringing people the news. Last couple of weeks have been, again, interesting weeks for Anthropic. Our personal experience of this, we were sitting in one of these workshops, and you looked over at me and you said, Fable 5 is out. And like I'm in the middle of teaching a class, and you're like, "There's a new model out," and I'm like, "I can't play with that right now." And then I think I said to you, "It's like I probably won't try it that much because it's going to go to extra usage in 12 days." And then the irony of it getting pulled after, Dario saying how Mythos was too dangerous to be released, and then we should slow down AI development, and we need. I think he even said in one of his articles, the government should have the ability to, well, okay, Merry Christmas, Dario. Fable is now off the shelf. But there's probably a few things we could unpack here. One, just kind of what's your thoughts, Kellan, on how this all unfolded really fast? It was like, I think Fables lasted for like what, 3 days?
3 days, I think.
I think we both had an opportunity to get a crack at it. So like thoughts on the situation, and then maybe some thoughts on Fable.
So did I tell you that on Wednesday of the workshop?
Think so. Yeah.
Okay. So it was pulled Friday night. So
Yes.
about 3 days. So I will say though, I ran many a million tokens through Fable, many in the
Many
time.
a million.
Yeah. Many a million of tokens through Fable, and like some like through workflows, some through just kind of conversational just to kind of get a feel for it. And initially I didn't really notice any difference except maybe the speed. It was
compared to Opus.
Compared to Opus 4.8.
Yeah.
I like the same effort level. Didn't really notice much. I mean, we got to talk about different elements, right? But I'm just in terms of like using it, it was definitely faster, like noticeably faster.
Yeah.
And it burned tokens, man. It burned tokens. I have seen like charts where they did like side by sides, and the mid token usage, like the median kind of tokens, is like the same. But like the point to get to consensus was really fast.
Right.
It gets smarter effectively.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like it would theoretically like burn less tokens per project because of its efficiency.
Right.
And that was noticeable. It made less mistakes.
Yeah.
And it didn't do a lot of the, oh, you're right, I just guessed that. Like it didn't do that. Like Opus does that all the time, where it's like, oh, you're right, I didn't actually check anything.
Right.
Like, cool.
Right.
Right on.
Sounds good.
Let's not do that. So didn't do that. I guess you can kind of put that in the category of hallucination. I mean, that's pretty much what that is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which was cool. What else? But in terms of like the pullback, I don't have enough information.
Yeah.
Not going to make a take.
I mean, obviously they had no choice. So anyone that hasn't caught up with the story, what's been reported anyways is that someone demonstrated to some group within the United States government a method to jailbreak Fable 5. To do exactly what, I don't know. I don't think that was too specific, but jailbreak just essentially to get it to bypass some of these guardrails that you were just talking about and potentially do something that it isn't supposed to. And so then the U.S. government's directive was that no foreign national can use it, which essentially means nobody can use it because there's no reliable mechanism for Anthropic to comply with this order. So now I'm sure they're trying to sort through this kind of in just like the market perception, public relations, and then sort of like the political spectrum. I mean, I am a bit tickled by the irony of the articles Dario's been writing about the risks and dangers with AI progress, which are real. Saying things like it'd be nice if we could have some sort of coordinated slowdown, which sort of just conflicts with how our economy functions in this country anyways. It's like, no. Like there's going to be too many people not wanting to do that. And then this kind of happening to them. But, I got to use Fable at least a handful of times over that 3 days span as well. And I had a similar experience. At first I was like, I'm not sure what I'm feeling in terms of a difference. But the project that really impressed me is when I just gave it this sort of big ambiguous task to do a comprehensive audit of our website's code base. and I seeded a few. It was a very short request. It wasn't like I wrote up a big long, I need you to check this and this and this, and it covered a pretty wide span of things that made sense.
Did it do much fallback?
I didn't watch it, so I
Okay.
couldn't recall. I could probably go back through the session and maybe answer that question. But I've had other models attempt this type of work, which is
Same,
something
yeah.
you hear to like, hey, go do an audit, find some issues. And in those prior experiences, I always got like a heaping pile of junk along with some really useful stuff. So I found
trying to find things.
yeah.
That's not
So
really a
I
find.
was like, this maybe isn't a great use case when I did them before, because I'd have so many things where it's sort of like red herrings or like you're saying, hallucinations, or it was missing context. And I was like, I'm not comfortable asking Claude Code to go try and work on any of these things we found, because I'd have to like research them to validate. And this one was pretty rock solid, like covered like some technical findings, finding lots of dead code or dead things we don't need in there. Also like contextual audit of, hey, you say it this way on this page, but this way on this other page. Like it'd be better if you could tighten this up. I found a couple places like in our legal disclosures, like our data privacy policy, like where it said Tiny Bottle AI Inc. We're formed as an LLC, not an incorporation. And it knew that from other contexts, like, hey, this is wrong. We should fix this. And Opus may have found some things like that. It found a number of things to improve SEO. It was probably the first time I was like, wow, this is actually really useful. And I implemented almost all of it. So I just think its ability. What's that?
I know.
Yeah. You saw when you, hey, catch me up on the commit history. But it was probably the first, for me, that project. I did a few other things with it too, but that was the first time I felt myself starting to come over the confidence hurdle of, okay, I could actually see myself using things like longer running workflows or more ambiguous tasks or loops and larger units of work based on that experience without feeling like I need to really be in the checkpoint loop to sort of prevent, Opus 4.7, especially like on the hallucination front. Even the other day, even with 4.8, I was working on something and I was like, you didn't even look this up, man. Like, so sounded good to say, but I've been thinking about this whole saga with Fable getting pulled. And I think something people struggle with, I think we struggle with it to an extent. I mean, I think people it's like, okay, a new model came out. Why should I use it beyond the fact that it's supposedly bigger, badder, and smarter? Right. And so, I think and then people hear about all these potential risks with the model. And I think it's confusing kind of the general user population about what to use in AI, who to trust, why should I be using the latest and greatest? And they hear, oh, it churns lots of tokens. And my boss told me, mind your tokens. Or, some other company says like, yeah, let it rip, So, but yeah, it helps me. The world isn't this simple, but it does help me at times to think, okay, can I make this down to sort of like a binary type of a situation, just as a decision framework? So if you're just using AI, like you're using AI to build stuff or to create a strategy or, whatever you're using AI for, like I agree with what you just said. Just you might as well use the top of the top unless you have this weird budgetary limitation, because, the Frontier Labs, they're building in to their technology. It tries to decide when it should dispatch a sub agent for you. So, 6 months ago, you and I were both like making sure to tell Claude, be sure to use a sub agent for this, right? Like, because it was effective in it, but it wouldn't always do it. That's gotten better as the models have improved.
Basically, it's default now.
Yeah, it's default. Now, on the flip side, like if you are building any sort of software that has agentic AI inside of that software, like you have to be thinking about model choice.
100%.
You just have to, because you're not doing that with a subscription. You have a cost to serve. You're running API requests. You're paying on the meter at that point. And so you need to think about, okay, based on what's happening in my application, what model should I use? What thinking level? Temperatures, all these things you can control that affect the quality of your user experience and your cost to serve. And so you got to figure that out and you got to balance it. But yeah, if you're just using AI, use the best thing you can get your hands on.
That's a really smart like frame to split it from like kind of the builder, which is oftentimes subscription based, You get a certain amount of tokens for ChatGPT or Claude, and those limits are pretty generous. Like I'm in there pretty much every day, and I almost never hit a limit. And the application, like Pathfinder, for instance, our app to release soon, we have to be pretty specific about quality of what we want to have it, like what kind of quality are we expecting back and like, all that kind of stuff balanced with cost, like how much does it cost per token, and you also need to factor speed, like speed of response. So there's like a balancing act that on the token side of or on the API side of things that has to occur. And then also, and I think we're going to experience this soon, is your upgrade path. So, like, if we're like, oh, okay, Fable makes more sense now. Like, there's definitely companies that did the upgrade in their
Right.
applications.
Right.
Guaranteed, someone, people
Yeah.
have jumped the gun and did that, and then their whole application's down.
Well, a lot
I
of
mean, they
people
probably
are
had fallbacks, but things like that. Well,
the
who's not in that loop?
us.
Most companies
Most companies, yeah, and us.
and us.
Yeah, but I think, and that's like again the difference. Like if you're building a product, we've talked about this before. You introduce a new model, it's almost like you're giving the same instructions to like a different person. So they might not.
Hmm.
They're going to interpret it a little differently. Maybe they don't need as much detail. Maybe it expected more detail. So you're going to get a different experience. So before you just go into your code and swap the model choice, you gotta make sure you try these things out. I think the thing that this is my last kind of thought on using Fable that I'm really hoping we get back in some way, whether it's Fable 5 comes back out or there's an intermediate model that comes back out, is I found it to be much more reliable in sort of like self critique.
Mm, yeah.
And this has been one of my biggest complaints with Opus is here's the example I was telling you about yesterday, I think. So I've been working on sort of some strategy related things. And so me and Claude, we are in a project folder and we're working on all these files and it's doing things and I'm doing things. And while I was having Claude do some things, I opened a file that I wanted to do like, I need a slow Justin fingers on keyboard changes,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And it was even like known in the plan, like that's something I was going to do. Right. So should have been shared information. But then, so Claude finished the thing and asked me like, hey, do you want to commit these changes? And I said, yes. And then Kellan, like it filled up the screen. It filled up the screen with its response. That's how many words came with this response. Essentially like, hold the phone. This other file changed. I didn't change. Like almost like there's a corrupt actor on the computer type freak out.
Wait, so what model was that?
This is Opus 4.8
Okay.
doing this. Whereas like my experience with Fable, like in this situation, I didn't have this exact situation, but like it would be like, I bet Justin just changed the file. Let me ask him, right? Instead of like this, whoa, right? So I still get that from Opus where it's like, whoa, but I think
No.
I found Fable, I guess, to be a little more succinct and curt, like in responses to me at times, or just like
Mhm.
if there was ambiguity, it would just ask, as opposed to like, hey, there's ambiguity, and let me tell you the 5 ramifications of if I'm right about something. Bef- you know, so but yeah,
Yeah, I just don't know if I had enough time with it to make,
yeah,
like, too hard of a take, but, it's very good. Something to keep in mind too is that they're pricing it at double the cost. So that doesn't mean it's double like, it's twice as good, but just something to keep in mind too as far as, like, if it comes off subscription, there will be like, if it's not a part of your token limits for your subscription, like, there's a factor there to there's something to factor in there as far as your agentic development goes, not to mention embedding into an app. There's a
yeah.
double cost.
But again, like with it being so token intensive and it being extra usage, not in your subscription assuming it comes back, if it ever comes back, it's like that's like sort of a different use case. And they said, I think like, oh, when we get more compute, maybe we'll fold it into the subscription.
Okay.
But
Stop.
there's this little, drug dealer talking to the addicts thing going on that I don't.
Yeah, but don't even say that, you know what I mean? Like, what are we doing?
So
One I also wanna say one thing, and I think this is maybe a good, well, I'll just say so I'm a big believer, like, when it comes to, like, cost, and this goes for, like, a lot of things, unit cost means almost nothing in my mind. like how much it is per token is kind of irrelevant. This is the same kind of thing happened in consulting too, like in where it's like, which we, as a company have completely, we've said no to, which is like the hourly rate. It's like, how long does it take to achieve the objective? Like that's actually like the cost of that is what matters. And so I'm not saying Fable is cheaper in that regard. I only had 3 days with it. But like if it is, that's what matters. So like if it and your time too, right? Like if there's all this back and forth to like get it dialed, like that's time too. But like the cost per token is irrelevant compared to like how much it costs to achieve what you're trying to build or do. And I think that like you're already seeing like benchmarks move in that direction. And I think that's going to become a little bit more of the narrative as it pertains to like new models is like how long does it take to achieve a task? Right. So
Right.
so we just focus on like what is our win here?
Yeah.
Where we
What's
can both win. Like that should be the goal. And same with the models, right? Like that's what Fable I think is attempting to do is be smarter so that it doesn't hallucinate as much. That it's like helping you achieve your objective faster, not necessarily by through cost, because they
right?
also introduced workflows
Yeah.
around the same time, which burns through tokens like nothing I've ever seen. But anyway, we can talk about that if you want. But that kind of loop and workflow kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we should.
Okay.
Because in our own work, we're always trying to challenge. I think you especially challenge ourselves. Are we using these tools to the best of our ability relative to like what they can do? And it continues to be the story that like every single month, like we've come a long way from learning how to write a good prompt.
Hmm.
Right. Just, whoa, are we in a different place? And so there's been a lot of concepts introduced from both OpenAI and Anthropic. They call them slightly different things. I'll probably use the
Hmm.
Anthropic terminology just because that's what I use, but some similar stuff exists in both products. Like, so that I'll just like name the grab bag and we can follow where the rabbit hole goes because we're wrestling with all these things, So things like ultra planning and ultra code, workflows, goal, loop. And so all these like new concepts really all fall into this bucket of how can I get Claude Code or Codex or whatever tool I'm using to do more work, either as a unit of work or over a longer span of time with less interruption with the human, like
Right.
with less confirm, like, and so, which is a there's a certain discomfort that comes with that idea depending on where you are using these tools. I think when we were at our workshop last week, we were in a room with people that were getting introduced to something like Cloud Code for essentially the first time for
Hmm.
the type of work they did. And so when you suggest to them like, oh yeah, just like put on bypass permissions, or like you explain how you do something, and they're like, what do you would just let it go? That they haven't accumulated that trust yet. But,
Yeah.
so it's sort of the walk from, do I trust the tool, to am I more comfortable letting it run with some of these things? But, and now everybody's talking about loops, like Boris and all these guys talking about this concept of I don't write props anymore, I write loops, which sort of sounds like, hey, we're coming up with interesting techniques that use lots of tokens. Please also use them because it's hip and cool. But some of it's actually not useful. I mean,
Hmm.
what would you say has changed in your workflow in the last 30 days or so?
It's a complicated topic. I do want to share my visual I put on LinkedIn at some point about loop maxing.
Okay, perfect.
Just high level, like setting the table first, like because I think there is a kind of a nouns thing here happening that not everybody watching,
We need to come back and like do it like a visual overlay of like the dictionary entries of
yeah,
all these
we need a
things.
glossary here.
Yeah.
But just so everyone's on the same page, like a loop is just like a schedule. You set it and it checks. It just injects a prompt, right? Like on a schedule. That's all. That's all a loop is. A goal is a sort of loop, but it's not exactly the same thing. It's where you set an objective, like it's like a test driven development in a sense. Like you set a test and it will keep running token max the hell out of your subscription until it meets that condition. So it's very deterministic in that sense. And let's see, workflows is where, for people that are using agentic, like let's just stay in the cloud world. They're the same, basically Codex and Cloud. They just use different models. for the most part, and their feature names are sometimes a little different. But like the workflows, it just allows Claude to spin off or fan off like just an enormous amount of agents, anywhere from 5 to hundreds, based on whatever. I mean, it sounds crazy, but yeah, like hundreds if you let it. And it's just like it's a code driven agent workflow. So like it can spin off a set of agents doing like a review or a research, and it could then once that's done, it can set off a bunch of agents to do building, and then
Mm-hmm.
set a bunch to do reviews. So yeah, so that's the workflows. There was one other one I thought I had
Loop,
four in my head.
goal, workflow, ultra plan.
Ultra Plan. And Ultra Plan, which I don't really use because I don't see it as much better than just the plan mode in the tool,
I agree.
but it just uses a little extra effort but an Ultra Code just basically is the super high effort level on whatever model you're on
Mm-hmm.
that allows workflows to run. So anyway, so that's like the glossary fun dictionary stuff, just so
Mm-hmm.
everyone's talking the same nouns here. For my workflow, not workflows, for my
Kellan's
work,
workflow.
for my work, I find workflows just in general. Let's just start with workflows because that's kind of where a lot of the work happens. I find workflows to be really useful when you need the context to be deep and wide. So, like for instance, like if you're doing like a full code base audit, a single agent is not going to be able to get that job done. You need to be able
Correct.
to separate it into like parts of the code base so that it can accumulate context so that the next stage of agents have the right information. An agent is it's going to get lazy or skim. It's just simply, it knows what its capabilities are. It knows that it's going to have to cut corners to accomplish the ask. Workflows, it knows that it doesn't have to do that. It has a smaller set of responsibilities, that individual agent. And so it can like rely on its partners, if you will, to get that job done. So I find that to be really useful. So anyway, so that's workflows. I find workflows to be really cool. It does burn through tokens way more so on Fable because I think it's more capable. So I think it's
Right.
just and it's fast. So it's like
Mhm.
it's kind of hitting it on two angles.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy. Like it would get to 1 million on a single agent, like fast,
Mm-hmm.
like shockingly fast. I'm watching like Opus, for instance, run. I'm like, still not to 1 million, my guy.
Right.
What are we
Yeah.
doing?
You've been cooking for 15 minutes. What are we?
Yeah,
Let's
what are
go.
you doing? Look, why is this taking you so long? But anyway, so and the results were better on Fable too.
Mm-hmm.
So I have done goals and loops a lot, but I find myself kind of on the fence quite
Mm-hmm.
a bit. And I did this like scorecard thing that I posted on LinkedIn yesterday,
Yeah.
which this won't release until next week. So on the 16th, but I'll share that as like something maybe to kind of guide my thinking here.
Your loop maxing.
Next one.
This is pretty good.
It's just my thoughts. I mean, there's way more cons and pros than just this list provides.
You've been really into making posters ever since last week.
Yeah, I love me some Claude design. That's another thing I was going to say earlier. Fable is so much better with image generation. It's crazy
Oh,
better.
yeah.
This is Opus, and like 1000% Fable would be better than this. I have
Yeah.
examples from other ones where I'm like it's better. So, and it's easier to kind of go back and forth as far as feedback goes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
do this thing over here, and Opus just really struggles with that, whereas Fable is just like dialed, done.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, so my pro is like there is a true like sometimes you need to move a project forward and you know exactly
Mhm.
what you need
Right.
and you don't really need to be guiding it that much. And it's kind of the
Right.
fire and forget one.
Mm-hmm.
I just grind on this. I just need it done. Send me the PR when it's ready so I can review it and we're good. But it's a lot of work, but like just go and go eat lunch or whatever. There is the second one I find like forces clarity in the sense that like you already do this really good, but like you really dial in what done looks like ahead of time. Like set a really good plan, like
Mm-hmm.
in the plan mode or whatever you're doing that. And you know that like you have gotten the majority of like your, quote unquote requirements in so that you can allow that autonomy to actually happen with like a reasonable level of trust that it's going to get done. And then we've all experienced this, but like AI gets really lazy and it's like, this is done, right?
Yeah.
It like assumes a
Do you
done point
you
that
want
this
to
like
you want to
isn't this.
stop for the day?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, are we good here? It's like, I think we're done. That other thing was like from someone else. Like, dude, you did that. That's you. Like you what are we talking about here? Like, so this keeps it a bit more honest because it's like you can set certain parameters that you just know Opus or whatever is going to like try to like game. But like if there's any failing tests, like regardless of if it's in the context of this session, that's a fail. Like if whatever the case may be, and so you can really make it pretty deterministic either through code or just as a test for what done means. Cons, it could theoretically just like absolutely like go down a number of rabbit holes or clot holes. Like if you open up a workflow in like a loop, sometimes you'll see like it's kind of like, what are you doing? It's like echoing the terminal. You're like, it's doing all sorts of weird stuff. You're like,
Right.
what is happening?
Yeah.
Just do the work. Like stop. Like, so it's a little bit still prone to, I mean, just like humans, prone to the rabbit holes. It will come back eventually and try to accomplish his thing, but sometimes it's like bad choice. Like, why do you do that?
Yeah. I don't know that models will completely. This is a close cousin to hallucination, I think. It's sort of
Definitely.
like just AI fog of war. Like the AI itself is just like in there, like trying to complete a task. Is just oblivious that there's like either an alternative that's much simpler, or even like a simple thing like, oh, instead of me trying all these workarounds, I could just stop and let the user know, like, hey, I need you to authenticate this service for me. Like, and so I think that's an interesting judgment behavior you see in even the most advanced models where like it's really just trying to complete its task by any means necessary. And it doesn't, it's unlikely when it's in that mode to stop and reconsider on its own.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did find Fable to be better at it. So it
Yeah.
might be a behavior that Anthropic and OpenAI, I assume, like are aware of, like these clot holes or rabbit holes that these AI models go through, and just like step back, relax, evaluate the situation. What tools do you have available? And what is the actual goal we're trying to achieve? And does this actually help in that? So I 100%, because it does like, I need to look at this line of code and like to the end of the time to the end. It's like, what?
Right.
No,
Right.
stop.
Right.
So, anyways, and then the next one, like we've said few different times now. I mean, it's just a token maxing bonfire, man. Sometimes like it just, whew. And here's the thing too, is like, like prompt caching is a thing and all that kind of stuff. But like when you run a workflow, it's kind of like you're resifting context that you've already done, like numerous other workflows.
Hmm.
So you're just like
Yeah.
kind of reshuffling the deck in a sense, the same deck. And so you're just burning the same tokens over. So you really do need to like try to bundle your work a bit more efficiently, because it's going to do like really deep dive. You might as well take advantage of it. And then this one I think is really, really important, especially for people getting started with like Claude Code or Codex. This is like the loop stuff. Like this is Boris kind of being and other people. No judgment, they're like leading the way, but like kind of you get on stage, you
Hmm.
kind of feel the need a little bit to brag maybe, or just share what your experience is. He's very, very advanced.
Yes.
So like he built Cloud Code, or at least a big part of it, like, and is like an actual like full on software engineer.
Right. Right.
So like with somewhat people that go into the tool, like you don't need this. This
Yeah.
is not a like, and you kind of lose some of the learning of working and building and growing trust with this tool set when you just offload all the work to it.
Yeah.
So I just think there's like, I can't tell you how much I've learned, but in the conversational prompt kind of approach
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
technology, with different things happening, with the code base, even like I've just learned so much that I wouldn't want to like offload that learning, and even teaching the model, even a little, not teaching it like in that sense, but like teaching to get the context just right for the problem we're trying to solve. So there's
Yeah.
that I wouldn't want to lose.
Yeah. I still what's really exciting to me about some of these capabilities, goals, loops, workflows, or whatever they are, is it's aligning with the parts of agentic development that I like and don't like, or like
Mhm.
have the patience for, don't have the patience for kind of split.
Yeah.
So I still really enjoy and find a lot of purpose and value in really sweating the details in like the planning stage, which sometimes is like pre-Claude code plan mode, just like getting all of my context right for what I'm about to go do.
Mm.
And I've been doing a lot of that this week on the project I'm working on this week. Just like, okay, before we go build like this, I want all the screws really nailed down so that I know that I've given like this rock solid context to do the development with. But I don't necessarily have the patience to like watch every issue get built and then and so like I'm actually getting more comfortable with once I have a slate of work I want to do in our app or on our website where I can set a clear goal around this unit of development work and like what it means to be done with this unit of work and just like be able to actually context switch myself onto something else and know that I don't have to sit here like waiting to like keep the process moving. And I don't think I had that level of trust even as recently as like a few months ago that I could do that without being the one to like catch things. So but not everybody's at this point. I do think at this moment in time, this will probably change well out into the future where maybe this will be different. But I do think your own individual experience of having your own kind of eureka moment with these tools and then your own individual experience of building trust with them. Like, and I'm not throwing any shade here, but just when you talk to people and they're like, I'm not comfortable letting Claude do this. And it's something where we're like, I don't even think twice about letting Claude do that
Mm-hmm.
anymore. Like,
Yeah.
and so that's just, and you can't really like, you can't just say like, oh, you're wrong. You need to trust that person, you need to trust Claude more. I think
Yeah. It's a process.
it's a process
Yeah.
of getting comfortable with it. So, but I
Yeah.
think the benefit
I
for
think,
me is
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I think the net benefit for me is and this is recent, right? This is like in the last few weeks, like I was able to like feel less mental drain, like getting through some of this work because I was able to
Mm-hmm.
sort of like, all right, it's almost like delegating, like, all right, here, Kellen, here's what we need your team to go build and do. And like you actually leave and go build it and you come back like not every 17 seconds,
Mm.
So
Yeah. I think just to like build on that a little bit, I think if you blended you and I as like AI agent kind of users,
like a cyborg.
you would probably have the perfect developer for with this tool set. Just because I tend to kind of jump right in, kind of build context as I go. Sometimes it depends on what I'm doing. Like if it's like a really big thing, I'll do the kind of more the Justin method. If it's like kind of flow, I'm like in a flow and I'm like, yeah, we're on the same page. This context that we've
Hmm.
accumulated is solid, and like let's keep
Right.
going. Then I'll do kind of my method, which is just YOLO, like probably way too fast. So I think there is like I said on like loop the dialed and stuff and stay in the combo
Hmm.
for the hard stuff. I think there's another layer to that, which you kind of spoke to, which is like dial in that prompts may not be important, but context still is.
100%.
So like dialing in, like really getting the context locked in before you click build,
Hmm.
in a sense, is still extremely valuable. And so, yeah, you need to probably have some form of like decision tree in your head, in a sense of like when you feel like you've accumulated enough context for the model to do a good job,
Yeah.
and when you can kind of let it go autonomous in a sense against a goal that you feel like is very well defined,
Mhm.
versus like it's pretty well defined, but I want to be a part of this. So
It
still
seems worth
somewhat
noting.
decision tree.
It seems worth noting, like like the state we are in as our small company.
Hmm.
Like, there's a lot of, let's just call it. I hate to use this word, but let's just call it innovation. Like, we're building something new. Like, we're
Hmm.
creating things a lot,
Yeah.
right? Which is a very different mode than like serving and maintaining something. So I didn't mention this to you yet, but I captured this in my inbox. There's some opportunity, I think, with loops now where we do have processes that need just servicing and maintaining.
Mm.
Like, go look at the analytics on the site performance. If there are any issues, like,
Yeah. Great
create a
use
goal
case.
to
Yeah.
resolve it. Like, it's like, okay, like there's a pretty known situation there versus like something we're doing like with our own products or like our own go to market strategies is like, you're in that innovative state where like you're really trying to get something new to come out. And I think that's maybe where I'm like, I don't really I don't really want to jump into like goals and loops because I haven't even achieved clarity for myself yet.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I just think so depending on if you're listening to this, like think about where you're actually at in this process. Because just because Boris says you should be writing loops and you're like in this creative, innovative, trying to start something new or trying to create a process that doesn't exist yet, like that probably isn't the mode you should be in.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes us too.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So cool. Appreciate you tuning in. If it's interesting to you, like, subscribe, share it with your friends. We'll be back next week. Until then, see you around.
Peace.